It's definitely different than other law schools because we have the namesake here all the time, hanging out, showing up at parties.
And those were words from students of the Richardson School of Law at the University of Hawaii. Yesterday, CJ, as many called him, passed away at the age of 90, and now the UH Richardson School of Law and his family are planning a memorial service for July 8th and 9th. And joining us this morning to talk about the CJ's life are his son, my cousin, Bill Richardson, and retired Judge James Burns, the CJ's friend, and the son of the late Governor John A. Burns. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. Cuz, especially thanks for you for coming so early this morning.
For you, anything.
Thanks a lot. You know, so much has been made about Uncle Bill, CJ's life, his legacy, his landmark decisions, his years as a Bishop Estate trustee. But what was your dad like at home?
Well, I think we always had to make sure we had ice cream. And that we always waited for him to come home to admit our indiscretions because my mother was the disciplinarian and my dad was the softie. So if we ever did anything wrong, we always had to tell Dad first.
And a softie, I mean, he really was a humble and quiet guy, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Judge, why don't you talk about him? His relationship with your dad was beyond just a political alliance. It was a true, deep friendship, wasn't it?
Oh, very much so. They were very close. And I think my father was sad that Bill didn't succeed him as governor. But he couldn't be two places at once. And my father needed a Chief Justice, so off Bill went.
Yeah, and you know, you visited him several times over the last few weeks. So what would you guys talk about, and what was he like?
Well, we talked about the old days, the good old days. I think he enjoyed talking about them. So, and his relationship with my father, and with his wife and my mother.
And we're seeing a video of him in his little office at the UH Law School, which he still went to up until recently. It was really nice for him to go there pretty regularly. And Billy, why don't you talk about having him go to that office and having the law school named after him while he was still alive?
Well, I think he felt very honored. I mean, and he really loved going down and mentoring students. I mean, his capacity for mentoring and love for students and young people was unbelievable.
And Judge Burns, if you could thank him for anything, what would you say?
Well, I would thank him for what he did for the people of Hawaii and the opportunities that the people of Hawaii now have that they didn't have in the good old days.
What would you consider his most influential decision?
Well, I think beach access was most important. We didn't have it when we were kids.
And what about you, Billy? What would you consider his most influential decision?
I think Native Hawaiian gathering rights. I think access to property that's undeveloped it should be, available to everyone.
One of the interesting things that affected us in the media is that he allowed cameras in the courtroom, so that opened up access for us. And what about you, Billy? If you could say just a few words about your thanks to your dad, what would you say?
Well, my dad had an unbelievable capacity for love, and he was always there when I needed him. He was at all of my sporting events. He was there anytime I needed him.
And what was life like? You said he was driving pretty much all the way up until the end, almost.
Well, he was a little stubborn, and we had a hard time taking away his car.
Yeah,
but I mean
that's kind of a Richardson trait, isn't it? Stubbornness,
absolutely. Right? But my son and my nephew had a great opportunity to drive him around in the last couple of years, and they treasure that time.
Yeah, and I just wanted to share a personal story. Uncle Bill he married my husband and I in 2004. And we have some pictures of that. He was so nervous about doing this wedding ceremony, even though he had presided over all these landmark decisions. And I said, don't worry, Uncle Bill, it's going to be fine. And he did a great job, and that's why I really wanted to be there for his 90th birthday, which was at the Hilton Hawaiian Village, attended by more than 900 people. So amazing to be there. And so thank you so much to the family and to the Richardson Law School. And thank you to you two for coming this morning to share your thoughts about such a wonderful man. C.J. Richardson, as we all call him, or Puna, as some of his grandkids called him. And we'll be right back after the break. You're watching KITV4, your island television. This morning, it is 6:50.